Welcome to Faith Assembly of God in beautiful Petersburg, West Virginia. We are so glad you are here. At Faith Assembly of God, we believe in heartfelt worship, biblical truth, and a church family that loves one another deeply. We invite you to join us every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. for a time of uplifting worship, encouraging teaching, and meaningful fellowship. Whether you are new to the area, exploring your faith, or looking for a home church, you are always welcome here. Please feel free to enjoy our online Facebook services. We look forward to worshiping with you. God bless you, and we hope to see you this Sunday.
Look at the weather outside, it's not good. If you look at the what's going on in our community with Trevor sudden passing, that's not good. So I don't know about you, but I need something to look forward to, and I think every single one of us are like that. I think we're like that a lot of times, right? We get into these things, we look around, and we just, even the best day, at some point we're exhausted and we got to lay down and get a nap, right? So today we want to get upbeat. We want to give you a little idea of what's coming. And this place called heaven is going to be an incredible place, and you can learn a little bit about it in John chapter 14. What is so amazing about the study of heaven is I've got this Bible dictionary here, and if you look, hell starts right here at this thumb, and it goes all the way up into the next column, and it goes all the way to the top of this second page. So there's a lot of information in the Bible dictionary, a lot of information on hell. Now, let me show you what the Bible dictionary shows about heaven. See that little piece right there? From here to there? See? That's heaven, okay? So it's the dwelling place of God, and that's one of the cool things, because remember when we learned to pray a couple of days ago, and Jesus said, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." In the presence of God, there can't be any sin. So you and I, Beverly, could never be in the presence of God with our sin, right? So something had to change. So down here, what happened to us is we got saved, we got converted, Jesus saved us, put us on this new path. That's what makes us acceptable in God's eyes, and that's what makes us have the ability to be able to live forever. Now with that, I'm going to go to John chapter 14, and I want to give you probably, I would say, probably the most accurate description, if you will, of all the things that we're going to do when we get to this place called heaven. I love John chapter 14, Beverly. It may be my favorite chapter of the whole Bible, because Jesus, when he knows that his disciples are troubled, Jesus has said, "I must go away and prepare a place. It's kind of up to you guys now." Man, they've quit their jobs. They've quit all these other things. They've put all their hope and trust in Jesus, and Jesus has told them all along, right? But they didn't really comprehend it. And it's the same thing with us today. There's probably a lot about this Bible that we would let on like we know, but when we really drill down on it, we really haven't studied it like we should. We really aren't where we need to be on a lot of these things, right? So think about that as we get this. Let me give you the first few verses, because I absolutely love this. Jesus starts out by saying, "Let not your heart be troubled. You disciples, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also." Sandra Hatfield, good to see you this morning. Kimberly Raines, good to see you. Listen, we need a little good news. We need to talk about some good things. We need to talk about heaven. And I just read you the verse in John chapter 14, and I'm going to read you the Bible definition of heaven. And I want you to understand that heaven is a place, and it's the eternal hope of going to this place for the saved person. The scariest part of this whole thing, Matthew, good to see you this morning, is there's a lot of people thinking everybody's going to go to heaven. And they're not understanding that John, if you go down to John 14:6, you'll find out that Philip had asked, or Thomas had asked in verse 5, Lord, we don't know the way. How can we know how to get to heaven? And Jesus in John 14:6 says, I'm the way. What's he saying? I'm the way to get to heaven. See, the way to get to heaven is through Jesus. How's it through Jesus? It's through Jesus because he paid our sin debt. It's through Jesus because he shed that innocent blood. It paid the sin debt. Okay? So there's where we're at in this process. So Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. So you don't get to see the Father who's in heaven, and you don't get to make it to heaven unless you understand fully who Jesus Christ the Son is. Now let me back all the way up to verse 2. Jesus said, in my Father's house are many mansions. Matthew Harris, I've never been to your house, but I'm going to say something right now. A lot of people say, well, what this Bible means is mansion stands for a dwelling. I'm going to tell you something right now, Kim Carnes. God knows what a mansion is, and God knows what a dwelling is, and God knows what a tent is. So when Jesus in his own word says, in my Father's house are many mansions, Sammy Jeffers, you and Tracy got a mansion and 100 head of cattle. Kim Carnes, you got a mansion. Matthew Harris got a mansion. Kimberly Raines, Sandra Hatfield, Kim Carnes, Beverly Yeager. It's a mansion. Do I need a mansion in heaven? No. But if Jesus said it, it's going to be that way. We're going to have that stuff. We're going to talk about heaven today. I need some good news. I need to know that my family and my friends and my enemies have decided on heaven. And if they can't decide on heaven today, I need them to know where to find the information on what you need to believe. And so again, I will read you John 14:6. When Thomas said, well, Lord, we don't know what way. We don't know how to get to the Father who's in heaven. How are we going to know how to do it? And Jesus said, I am the way. I am the truth, right? And I am the life. So in God there is life. There is no death in Jesus. See, it was a big chore to give up life for Jesus to give up the ghost on the cross. Why was he beaten beyond recognition as a man? He's beaten that way because you can't kill God. So they beat the hide off of him, and we just show this pretty little picture in the church house of Jesus with 3 sprinkles of blood on his forehead and that little whatever it was, crown that you want to call it, made out of thorn berries or thorn bushes. But that's not it. You know, I mean, this guy was beaten. They beat the skin off of him and couldn't kill him, right? His insides were probably sticking out, you know, because they just beat him all the way through, because it's the one time in human history where the devil was going to be able to infiltrate another person to such an extent that he'd be able to beat Jesus to a pulp. And you say, well, I don't know if I believe that. Well, you better go back and read about the maniac of Gadara, right? And you better understand that during that first advent of Jesus, that evil was going crazy trying to prevent Jesus's work. Well, guess what? It's about time for Jesus to come back. So guess what the evil's doing right now? It's ramping up like never before. Craziness, things you never thought you'd see, you're seeing, right? So it's telling me that, look, I'm going to believe in Jesus because Jesus said he's the way to heaven. He said he's the truth. Folks, Sammy Jeffers, Tracy, I'm going to tell you something. There are people who don't even have a clue what the truth is today. And I mean, just in fair dealings with other people, people will lie to you just as soon as look at you. They'll lie, they'll cheat, they'll steal for 15 minutes of fame. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then when you come back to it and you realize that Jesus is the way to heaven, Jesus is the truth. So if I don't see the truth as Jesus wants me to see it, being that he's the sin debt of the whole world, absolutely he suffered for you. And, you know, we've heard and sang the song, he would have died just for you. He would have died just for me. Folks, it don't get any better. It doesn't get any more, you know, it just, I mean, we live in a day and time where I don't know how we're going to get people's attention. I guess pain and agony will get their attention because that's kind of what happens. And, you know, I think about poor little Trevor in some respects went on to heaven. But listen, Trevor is a powerhouse today in the eyes of God. He's there. See, remember when they talked about how great John the Baptist was, and Jesus said, oh, John the Baptist, he's great, but he's still the least in the kingdom. And they said, well, what do you mean he's the least? Well, because he's not fully there yet. See, our goal, our victory is to get to heaven. That's the finish line. There ain't nothing left for us here on this thing. Hey, what's going on, Tim? Good to see you this morning. We're talking about heaven, Tim. We need some good news. We've had a tragedy down here in our community, a high school age a high school age boy who happens to be the guy that started the videos with me. It's his son. So I've known these guys my whole life, it's just an accident. And, the whole community is heartbroken. And yesterday we talked about being careful about don't blame God for things we don't understand. But today we needed a little good news. So now today we're talking about heaven. And what we've kind of outlined here is, in my Father's house are many mansions, from John chapter 14. And you've heard this argument too, Tim. You're way better at expanding the word and bringing out a message than me. You've preached it many times, and you know that people will say, well, what they're really talking about is a dwelling. I don't care if we're talking about a dwelling. I don't care if we're talking about the tent. But I believe Jesus, in his own words, said, in my Father's house are many mansions. So if it interests you to have a mansion, I believe you're gonna have a mansion, right? I just soon have a storage container that I can convert it over to a house. If you've seen some of those cool looking designs, they're pretty interesting. So think on that. All right. So Jesus says this. He says, in my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. So Jesus could have said, look, here's the deal. You could go to hell if you want to, but what you could also do is just lay in the dirt forever. Those are the two choices. See, Jesus doesn't have to go through this elaborate plan about heaven. Jesus doesn't have to come and die for our sin debt unless he had to do it to satisfy God. And that's where the sin entered into the world in Genesis 3. And that's why he has to do what he did. But isn't it amazing? Do y'all ever stop and think that God himself, not sparing, meaning, when God saw humanity was as weak and we just wouldn't listen and we just wouldn't try to do right, and we were stiff-necked, rough-necked, whatever kind of people you want to call us, dumb as sheep, is what he called us several times there, I think, in the Bible, that God didn't take a chance on letting a man do something there. When it was time for the Lamb of God to take away the sins of the world, he sent the best he had, who was Jesus. And like Sandra said there earlier, he suffered for me. He suffered for you. He suffered for us all. And it didn't improve his position any. He was already God. There isn't a king in the world today that would get off of his throne and go die for his people. I don't think. Right? So let's go just a little bit further. He says, if it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you. Does anybody ever get excited at the fact that God went to prepare a place for you? And when he gets it ready, he's going to come back and he's going to get you. Do you ever correlate that with the fact that it only took 6 days to create all we know on this earth? You ever think about that? But yet God's been gone for 2,000 years. What's heaven going to be like? I'll tell you, I hate to get all science fiction-y on you, but Chester Bragg used to say this, Tim. You may have heard him. He'd say, well, I wonder what kind of animals there are going to be in heaven. And I'll take that a step further. I think when we see heaven, when we get our body changed in a moment, a twinkling of an eye, and we get that glorified body, I think your eyes are going to focus like binoculars, and you're going to look at all these stars and things. And guess what? You're going to see something. You're going to know that there's life being out here forever, right? Because if you're faithful over a few things and he makes you ruler over 10 cities, and the saved are going to be like the sands of the sea, those cities are going to have to come from somewhere besides the earth, aren't they? I don't know. Maybe I'm too science fiction-y for that. But think about that. So Jesus says, I'm going to go prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I'm going to come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you will be also. You might notice I recite that fairly quick. And the reason I do that is because I've lived on this for my 28 years of being saved. I absolutely love this, that Jesus in his own words said he goes to prepare a place for you and me, and he's going to come and get us. And where he is, we're going to be. And guess where he's at? He's sitting at the right hand of the Father tonight. Where's the Father? The Father's in the most holy of holy places, which is on the throne in the kingdom of heaven, guarded by these four beasts that all they yell day and night is holy, holy, holy. Man, I tell you what, I know you might not be able, if you're lost today and you happen to run across this program, you may say, man, I just don't feel very holy. I make the bad excuse of saying that about myself every day. I don't feel very holy. I don't feel very, like I have any, great whatever. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I better start feeling holy. I better start being more holy. I better realize I'm part of a royal priesthood and do my job and tell other people how to get to Jesus. Well, I'm mad about this. Well, I'm mad about, you better get past all that. So let me go because I'm going to run out of time. Okay. So he says, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go, I'm going to receive you unto myself. To where I am, there you're going to be also. So, but let me explain something. Here's what I really wanted to get to today. And I won't have time to run all the verses down, but I'll give them to you or you can go back and listen. But heaven is a place. Heaven is a place. It's a real place. And guess what? Let me tell you about traveling faster than the speed of light or the speed of whatever. Here's my travel path to heaven. Took my glasses off so you can see my eyes, right? I take my last breath here. Boom, boom, there's Jesus. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. Let me do it for you one more time in case you missed that. I take my last breath here. I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm going to close my eyes here. I'm going to open them up, and there's Jesus. It ain't grandma. It ain't mom and dad. Now, I guarantee I love my parents as much, see my grandparents as much, see by other people that have gone on, love them. But Jesus, if you don't want to see Jesus when you first get to heaven, then you're missing this thing. You've got to understand, right? So you're going to see Jesus first. You're going to run over there. Maybe you got one crown. Maybe you got a handful of crowns and rewards, and you're going to cast those at Jesus' feet and say, Jesus, these are yours. I didn't deserve this, but you said I could. So there's the eternal place, is a real place. Now contrast that, Sammy Jeffers, with there's a real hell. I don't want to talk about hell today. I want to talk about the best of the best. I want to talk about a place with no more tears, no more sorrow, no more pain, no more cancer, no more job loss, no more divorce, no more sadness of any kind, in a place where the day will never end. And I don't care the best day you've ever had. There was a point in that day where the exhaustion took over and you said, man, I wish this day would end. So your changed body, you ain't going to have that thought in heaven. Now, let me tell you what you're going to do when you get there. Let me tell you about heaven today. When you get to heaven, here's what's going to happen. Let's see. And where is that? Oh, I was on the wrong verse, or the wrong footnote. I'm like, what is that? I know I read that. Old age, boys, don't come here. Don't come to old age. Okay, here it is. The scripture describes heaven as a beautiful city where the redeemed will live forever. Now, we know about the New Jerusalem coming down, almost looks like an inverted Hershey kiss, in my opinion, if you think about it, right? Now, there ain't nothing wrong with that holy city, okay? Because that's the New Jerusalem. That's new heaven, new earth, right? But I think, as I said earlier, to make you faithful over a few things, ruler over 10 cities, you're going to see something happen. Because, see, God's always existed, right? And if you're going to be over something, there's something else, right? But anyway, so you get the gist of it, okay? This holy city, okay? But let's look at the activities. I mean, let's say, hey, we're going to sit and watch TV all day. We're going to sit and watch the Hurricane High School band play all the time. We may do it because, God loves music, right? We're going to sit and watch WVU football, Marshall football, Oakland Raiders. Maybe, I don't know, they'll be able to win maybe in heaven. Now, I don't want to discourage you here with saying those kinds of things won't be there, because I don't know, because the eye has not seen, the ear has not heard, nor has it entered into the hearts of man the things that God has prepared for him that love him. So we can't even imagine it. But let me give you 4 or 5 things this morning when it's cold outside, and you better stay in if you can at all. And here's the deal. But I want you to understand, here's one of the biggest things that's going to happen. Why might the band from Hurricane High School or Cabell Midland be playing in heaven? Because in Revelation 15:3, it says we're going to sing a song the angels can't sing. So I think singing, just like the singing in the hymns today, just like Johnny Cash singing seems to what is that line from Mama sang something, Daddy sang bass, me and little brother would join right in. One of these days, and it won't be long, we will join them at the throne. We'll be together in a little while. That's all I can remember. I should have probably looked that song lyrics up. So, singing's the first thing they mention. Reference that out of Revelation 15:3. Here's another thing you better start getting into, and you better understand. You better get to church and learn how to worship the Lord, because that's the second thing listed here in Revelation 5:9. You better worship the God, and you better become holy because He is holy, right? And I can't become holy on my own, but I can become holy by saying, Lord, please save me. Lord, please save me, because if you don't, I know you're going to kill me and put me in hell. That was my plan of salvation prayer, right? And it's as true. I can still remember it, take you to the place, tell you the time where the Lord saved me, right? I can tell you. I can't tell you the day of the week. I don't know if it's a Tuesday or Wednesday, because I remember going to Grandma's, and I've told y'all this a million times. Grandma, I just got saved at the house. Grandma didn't say, well, did you know Romans 3:10? Did you know Romans 3:23? Do you know John 3:16, God so loved the world? Do you know that all can be saved right now according to Romans 10:9? Do you know John 5:13? She never said that. She said, oh man, that's wonderful news. I said, Grandma, what's next? She said, be over here Sunday morning at 9:30 and I'll show you what's next. And we know the rest of it. You got to learn to worship the Lord. Just like a few days ago, we learned a prayer life. How do I get a prayer life? What do I need to do? How can I get this thing called a prayer life and be productive for the cause of Jesus Christ? How can I do all that? Well, you can do it by getting around other Christians, getting in the right church, listening to the right Sunday school, listening to the right preaching, and moving forward. Because listen, if you don't want to worship here, how in the world and why in the world would you think God would be interested in taking you to His heaven? I shouldn't probably say that, because He is interested in taking you, but you got to understand some things. You got to understand the truth. Remember John 14:6 that we just read? I am the way. I am the truth. The truth is you better learn how to worship the Lord. You better learn how to get rid of the pride and arrogance that you have, because that was my big thing. I thought I knew everything. Lordy days. Not only did I think I knew everything, but I had just enough success in my early 20s in business to think I did. And it was a dangerous thing. Danger. All kinds of craziness. Right? So think about that. Let me go a little further with you here. So I'm going to get up there in heaven and I'm going to sing a song the angels can't sing. Tim can sing really good. Sandra's got a great voice. She can sing really well. I can't. So I'm going to jump right in between Tim and Sandra, and I'm going to sing a song right there. And I'm going to sound like Elvis is the voice I'm going to channel when I get to heaven. I'm going to tell you all that right now. Right? All right. What am I going to do? In Revelation 22:3, it says, I'm going to serve others. Great day in the morning. I ain't interested in that. I want to be the governor, Well, wait a second. What did Jesus tell them when they were jockeying for position before Jesus was about ready to leave to go prepare this place? They said, Jesus, which one of us is going to take over when you're done, when you leave here? And Jesus said, well, keep this one thing in mind, boys. The greatest serve others. You want to be great? Serve somebody else. You want to be great? Do something for somebody that can never repay you. That's greatness. You with me? And that's how this thing's going to go, right? So let's move a little further down through here. The serving, you're going to serve. Don't believe me? Read Revelation 22, verse 3. You're going to rule. Faithful over a few things, ruler over many. It's said in more than one place and more than one parable in there, right? So if you want to go to 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 12 and read it, you're going to rule in heaven and in Revelation 22:5. There's ruling. There is a position in this thing. And I don't think, Sammy, that you and I can say, well, you know what? I'm setting out. I'm going to set my career path. Yeah, I can't wait to hear it either, Sandra. That's going to be what a day of rejoicing that will be when I quit hurting people's ears in the choir trying to sing and have that perfect voice that a song the angels can't sing. That's going to be something, right? And we're going to do it. We're going to have Stephen right there. He's going to be with us. And Harry. Harry's going to get a deep breath and he's going to take off, because probably Harry's like me on the singing part. He probably has never done much of it, right? So look here. So the ruling aspect to this, I don't think you and I can sit here and say, well, you know what? I'm going to set myself up on the apprenticeship program and I'm going to be a supervisor in heaven. I'm going to be the governor of a province in heaven. I'm going to be, you know what? But if the greatest serve others, it means the more that I'm serving other people and the more that I'm doing for other people now, guess what that's going to do on the backside? See? Because when I'm looking forward to doing something for somebody, if you've ever helped somebody, and Sandra can tell you, Sandra's helped a lot of people in life. Sandra, you help somebody, what happens? A lot of times you can get bit by that. A lot of times somebody will just, you do a great bunch of work for somebody and they will just plumb smack you in the face. And then wonder why you didn't like it, right? Because we're living in a world full of evil. See? Plus, they want us to get discouraged. The devil wants you to quit. The devil wants you to quit thinking about things, quit doing things, quit everything, right? And the thing is, if I just keep my eyes on Jesus and I keep doing some little something for somebody else. See, they made fun of that woman that put that penny in the offering. And Jesus jumped all over the disciples, if you remember that. And they're like, well, she just put a penny in. And Jesus said, yeah, boys, what you don't understand is she put all she had in. How much you putting in? And I'm not talking about the money thing. I'm talking about how much time are you putting into other people? How much serving are you doing to somebody else? If you don't serve anybody else and you don't do anything for anybody else, you don't care about anybody else, how in the world would you go to a place that had a God that laid down his life and died for the whole world? Man, you talk about serving somebody else. Jesus came to this earth for 33 years and never did serve himself. Sitting at the right hand of the Father today, making intercessory prayer for you and me. Guess what? He's not really serving himself. See? Think about that. All right, what are we doing? We're going to rule there in heaven. We're going to have fellowship with others according to Matthew chapter 17:3. Listen, I'm going to know you, Sandra Hatfield and Harry Hatfield, when I get to heaven, and Sammy and Tracy Jeffers and Beverly Yeager, Chris and Biff Yeager. I'm going to know you people. And Kim Carnes and Kimberly and Bill Raines. I'm going to know you guys. We're going to know each other, Tim and Becky Gilfield. We're going to know each other. We're going to see mom and dad. You know? And there's going to be a lot of people that's going to see me and say, whoa, Brooke Lunsford made it. Man, it was easy. You know? I mean, honestly, you know, there'll be people like that, you know? And it's the same thing. You know, listen, man, let's not get discouraged. I know we're heartbroken in the community. I know we never want to see somebody young go to heaven or leave the world. I mean, we want to see everybody go to heaven. But I'm telling you, you say, well, why do all these old mean people seem to live 100 years? Don't you think maybe that's God giving them a chance to repent? Man, the guy that's saved, the guy that's ready to go to heaven, oh, sure, his family's going to miss him and the life that he would have had. But I've always thought that when somebody young or somebody that's just on fire for the Lord or really serious about the things of God leaves here early, that just tells me more about the ruling in heaven, that there must be an order to how God takes people because he needs them to do certain things. See? That's what I've always thought. You know, I've always thought that you know, when I see somebody young and you're like, man, why did God let this happen? This guy loved Jesus. And I mean, let's think about Lazarus when Jesus let him sit in the ground for 3 days. Well, why did Jesus do that? And they came to Jesus and said, he's dead and he already stinks. And Jesus said, he ain't dead. Oh, yeah, he dead. No, he ain't dead. You know, and Jesus is like, you know, folks, you can't be dead in my presence. And that's the thing about Jesus today, folks. I don't know where you're at. I don't know how much you're hurting. You may have been through some amazing things. Sandra and I could sit down and detail some of the things I know she's been through, and she knows some of the things I've been through. And we could just, you know, we could sit and cry and whine all day long about it. But here's the thing. In heaven, we ain't even going to be thinking about that, right? But it helps us to understand this is as bad as it gets. And we still came through that. God still carried us through all the craziness in our life. See? And he's going to carry you through the craziness. Yeah, you're heartbroken for this young man, and we don't know what kind of life he would have had. But he's already he's crossed the finish line. And again, I believe there must be an order in heaven, and God needs people at certain times that are already his that are going to go to heaven and start doing something now. I don't know, you know. But remember that thought. Let's go a little bit further. This next one is for the Baptists in the group. There's going to be eating and fellowship according to Revelation 2:17. There will be Baptists in heaven, right? And I'm not trying to be funny. I know I probably shouldn't say that. But we as Baptists, what do we have? We got a bad reputation. We can't get together and do anything unless we have a meal. Yeah, Matthew Harris, you're exactly right. You know, you're gonna take a beat down. You're gonna take it. I mean, and the better you are to somebody else, and I mean, we could just detail it, right? Okay, let me give you a couple more because my timer just went off. So, the quality of existence in heaven is a life of fellowship with God, according to Revelation 22:4. See, there's going to be a fellowship. God is going to be with his people. He's going to be with us. We're going to be like him. We're going to be changed in a moment, a twinkling of an eye. We're going to have a glorified body. When Jesus ascended up to heaven and they sat there and looked at Jesus, and the angel said, what? What are you all doing? I mean, we're just looking at Jesus. Watch him. He's just carrying on up. He said, hey, don't worry about Jesus going up because he's coming back. And the same way he goes up, he's coming back. And you know what? The same way that glorified body rose and everybody witnessed it, you're going to rise like that. No more gas in your car tank. You ain't going to move like that anymore. You're probably going to think it and be there. If you remember, I agree with that, Buddy Ball. If you think you're there, you're going to be there. If you remember, Jesus appeared in the midst of them after his resurrection, and he didn't knock on the door. So that's just another thing for you to think about. So there's a life of fellowship with God. In Revelation 14:13, there is a life of rest. We're not going to have to go out here and worry if we're going to make enough this week. And you know, just like Stephen, you know, I mean, he's my age. We went all the way through school together, you know. I mean, and you say, well, you know, man, why couldn't I go? You know, or I was ready to go, or I wanted to go, or, you know, but God's got an order, you know, and we miss him, you know, and we miss people, and we see people leave way too early all the time. My cousin, Christy Lunsford, my first cousin, you know, imagine this, they're all over at the house. It might have been Christmas time or Thanksgiving time, and the next morning she just didn't wake up, you know, and she was, gosh, what would that have been now? It's been 8 or 10 years. And I'm 50, so she'd have been in her 40s. See? I mean, life is fragile, and that's the other reason why we've got to keep pushing on people, not pushing in a pushy way, but pushing in a sense of urgency way. Please think about Jesus today. I love this program. Why do I love it so much? This is a very non-pressurized way, or non-pressured way, for people to come and look at this. And just here it is. This is heaven. John 14. Read those first 6 or 8 verses. And it tells you Jesus went to prepare a place for you. It tells you Jesus is the way to heaven. And to translate that for you, it means you got to understand what Jesus did for you by dying on the cross, by shedding the blood, by overcoming death, hell, and the grave. And because he overcame death, hell, and the grave, you can overcome that. And why do you want to overcome the grave? Because if you go to the grave without Jesus, you're going south. And I hate to talk about hell, but you will be going to hell, and we don't need that. All right, I've got a roll here. So, a life of service, a life of growth, and a life of worship in Revelation 19:1. So, here's the application to all this. Guys, man, I know you guys have had Christmas dinners at church, and family dinners on Sundays. You know, think about those. Think about how great that was. The whole family showed up to Grandma's house. This is going to be heaven, and it's going to be every day, right? Yeah. Well, sounds good, Rosemary. Okay, so let's look at the application on this. The glories of heaven belong only to those who have personally trusted in Jesus Christ for their salvation. Christians who work to win souls are gathering friends who will spend eternity with them in heaven. See, why in the world am I talking about my family and my friends? Oh, I love those people and I want them there. But why am I talking about my enemies? Because, man, please don't let a misunderstanding between us lead you to hell. Please don't let the thought of you out here saying, well, if Brooke Lunsford's going to heaven, and everybody must be going. I'm not going because of Brooke Lunsford. I'm going because in March of 1997, God knocked me flat down in the dirt. I don't know which eye it was, but some guy just about knocked one of those eyes out of my socket. And I went to bed with the old head throbbing thing. And I woke up the next morning and it was still on my mind. I got to do something here. I got to do something. So I went to the house. And right there, I knelt right by the kitchen sink. And I said, Lord, I know you're going to kill me if I do not surrender. So I'm surrendering. And not only am I surrendering, Lord, but I'm going to go to Grandma's house and find out what I need to do next. But I'm also telling you right now, I'm never going to give up and I'm never going to quit, because I never did that. Now, I went to bed under conviction in my teenage years many times, but I never said, Lord, save me. I never said, Lord, I'm afraid of hell. Right? Because the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. You're never going to get where you need to get with believing what this Bible is till that fear of God hits you right between the eyes. And it literally hit me. God had broke both my ankles playing basketball Thanksgiving week of 1996. I was just about to get over it when I stumbled out drunk, just be honest with you, on a lot down there in Econo Lodge, down there off 29th Street, mouthing off to this guy, and he was mouthing back to me, and he got me down and started hitting that eye. I don't know how many times, one of these eyes, that thing popped out there like that. And that was one of God's final warnings. And I hope you don't make it come down to him doing physical things to you. Now, he'll do it because he needs you to do something for him. He needed me to do this. But the problem for me is he needed me to do this about when I was 10, 12 years old, where social media wasn't there, but I could have still got out and done something for Jesus. He needs you to win your family and your friends to Jesus. He needs you to get out here and have a sense of urgency. I'll tell you what, I love you guys. And I appreciate you guys. And I think what Buddy Bell said, guys, I'm telling you, there's an order to this thing. And I want to be the next one God takes out of here to go to heaven, right? I want to go. I'm ready. I'm tired. I'm tired of this aggravation, tired of looking at all the pain and suffering. But here is what Paul said. Paul said, it's good for you that I'm here. Folks, think about this. Every single one of you, you might be suffering. You may have a loss none of us even know about. You may have pain and agony and sorrow and things, but you are here for somebody else. Sandra, your pain and suffering, you're here for somebody else. You're here to take care of Harry. Who's going to do that? Right? You're here for somebody else. Tim, you're here to serve Becky Gilfillan. That's what you're here for. Kim Carnes, you're here to serve everybody. You've always done it your whole life. You're a servant, and that's all you're going to be till you see Jesus. But guess what? The greatest serve other people. Beverly Yeager, I can tell by the two boys that I've met of yours, I can tell a little bit about you, and I've never met you face to face. You people are great because you serve others. Matthew Harris, you've got that website, the emergency services thing. You're serving other people, guys. And I'm not trying to puff you up. I'm not trying to get your pride and arrogance working and stirred up today. I'm just trying to tell you God's getting you ready for something you can't even imagine. I don't want to be Joel Osteen either. I want to tell you how good everything is. Because we're struggling. We see pain. We see agony. But listen, let's get these people past that grief. I tell you, if you got a funeral to go to, ask them if you can preach it. Ask them if you can tell them about Luke 16:19 through 31. Ask them if you can tell them about what hell is. That's what that letter is, dictated from Jesus. Ask them if you can tell them what John 14 is, what heaven is. Ask them if you can tell them what 2 Samuel chapter 12 is, where David is in agony over God saying, I'm taking that first child between you and Bathsheba because of what y'all have done. And David's praying his guts out. And the child is born and God takes the life out of that child. And David gets up, goes, takes a shower, sits down at the kitchen table. Everybody thought he'd flipped his lid. He lost his mind. And David said, what's up? They're like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. He said, but you know what I know? God's followed through with what God said. He said he was going to take the life of that child. I will never see that child again unless I choose to go to heaven and see that child. There's where we're at today. You've got to choose to go to heaven. You've got to make your election known for sure. You got to talk to somebody that knows, a Sunday school teacher, a good preacher in your area. And you got to be sure that you know that you know.